Hello, I'm Wendy here, and thank you very much for tuning in to this second episode of the Late Bloomer Author podcast. I'm really thrilled to have you here, and I hope you get some entertainment out of today's session. So what I'd like to do now is to introduce you to my co-host, or my guest, if you like. And this is Christopher when he's been naughty, but his name's Chris Williams, and he's my husband. And he's going to talk about his late bloomer author journey and how we actually started together, which is quite good fun. So we've got lots of stories and things to share with you. Chris is a software architect, so he's got a proper job, sort of daytime job. And he started writing books just basically, well, it was a bit of a challenge, but we'll go into that in more detail. Chris can explain how that started. He's now moved on to writing books that help him with his work. So it sort of, changed direction a little bit for him there. But in the meantime, we had a little bit of fun creating what we created. I'd just like to say hello, Chris, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, and thanks for having me on this one. It's good to be here.
So I just alluded to that when we first started writing, whether it was in the back of our minds or not, I think it's something everyone's always wanted to do, is maybe write a book, thinking, oh, no one's going to want to read this book, and what am I going to write about? How do you start? Wouldn't even know where to begin. And it started by a challenge that you actually saw on Facebook. So do you want to explain what that was and how it worked?
Yeah, I saw an article on Facebook that said that it was a 7-day challenge of teaching you the process of how to write and publish a book in 7 days. And it was all about trying to show you the process. So it was a challenge too. You had to listen to them over the few days, and then at the end of it, publish. A lot of people didn't, but we're quite competitive, so it was all full force for us to both get it done.
Yeah, I think it was because there was a Facebook page, I remember there was a group and people were like, oh, and I'm just trying to pick me topic and I'm just trying to do this. And I think we were already on like chapter 10 by then or something silly, because we don't think about it. We just charge ahead and go for it. So that's what we did with that.
Yeah, and all the reasons that people said were that they couldn't either commit the time or literally there is always another reason not to. And I think that's one of the big thing about your show is about just getting on with it,
Yeah, it's starting.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing, like anything. But yes, let's get started.
Yeah. So Chris saw the advert and he's like, oh, shall we do this? Do this challenge to writing a book? And I'm like, what? Anyway, I don't think I took an awful lot of convincing, did I?
No.
No.
I think you saw it as being a bit creative, something a bit different.
Yeah.
And a bit of a competition, to be fair.
No, you're more competitive than me.
No.
So yeah, I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. So that was good. And then we had to choose a topic. Now, again, as I said, people in the group were, I think they were on day 3 of the challenge and they were still trying to decide on a topic. And we just listed about 20 things each, I think, that we like to talk about, because basically it's anything you can talk about, and go from there.
Yeah. And I think we decided we wanted to do something a little bit similar, because I think we both said initially that we wanted to do this particular subject. And then we thought, oh no, but there's 2 aspects of this. So maybe one writes one and the other writes the other. And that's kind of how that fared up, really.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, I chose cruising.
And I chose cruising.
Yes. Funny enough, you chose the same.
Mine's this one. Mine's river cruising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is mine.
And yours is? Yeah, yours is ocean cruising.
Yeah, cruise like a pro.
Cruise like a pro, yeah. And mine was river cruising. It's not a huge book, as you can see. It's not a huge book, but it was a start. It was a 7-day challenge, so it didn't have to be. So
I think it was sort of get 5,000 words as a book.
Yeah, I think there was a minimum.
Yeah, and I think that was the way to try and get it done, because they say a proper book is 30,000 words.
Yeah.
And this was to teach you the process.
wasn't there a limit on Amazon? It had to be so big to actually go on to Amazon. There's so many words. I can't remember offhand what it is.
I
I'll have
think it's
to
number
have
of
to find that one
pages.
out.
I think you've got to
Oh,
publish so
yes.
many pages for it to be printable, but I'm not sure if that's just for the paperback or ebooks as well. Because of
Ebooks as
course,
well.
because one of the things we did, of course, it was ebooks, paperbacks, hardbacks, and we'll get on to audio as well.
Yeah. So this is what we did. We decided to go for it. We decided on our topic and we decided to have a go. And we didn't really understand any of the software at that point, or
Not really.
they suggested a couple of things, but they were quite clunky, weren't they? And
Yeah.
you being Mr. Techie, you were picking holes in things and this doesn't work and this
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah, there was a couple of freebie ones that they said, or you could there's a lot of people who just use Google Docs and write it in there and
Yeah.
then transfer it into something that formats it properly later. But there was
Yeah.
also other things about the process. It was about, first of all, the topic, then coming up with the title, and the title's really important. You think sometimes writing a book, just make up any old title, but the big thing for non-fiction books, which is predominantly what we write, but we do write others as well, I do, and we'll get onto that later as well, I guess, is the fact that people need to be able to find you on
Yeah.
Amazon. And that was also part of the process. So the
Yeah. So a
words and
searchable
the
topic.
searchable,
Keywords.
the keywords and everything else. So
Yeah.
the title and the subtitle, because that's your SEO gold, as they say, that's
Yeah.
how people find you, you know?
Yeah.
So
And for those who don't know about SEO, it's how people find you on the internet by using the words
keywords.
that people are actually searching for.
Yeah.
So what we did is we set two, and we both had our laptops, and we sat side by side on the sofa, and we've done that many times over the years before when we've taken on a project together. So we sit on the sofa side by side, sort of, peeking at each other's work and seeing how we're getting on and bouncing back and forth off each other.
Yeah, because that accountability is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
Doing things on your own, it's hard to get
It
motivated.
is harder.
And you find yourself finding something else to do. But
Yeah.
when there's accountability, and sometimes to us it is literally, we set up those challenges to each other to try and get past them.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference.
Yeah. But how you work is you sort of charge ahead and you've got so many things in your head and you get it all down. And I'm thinking, right, how many chapters do I need? What are the headings of the chapters? What's going to go in each chapter? And I'm planning everything because I'm sort of quite strategic.
Yeah, and by the time you finish that, I've already written 5 chapters,
Yeah, you're charging ahead with that. And I think at that point a little bit of competitiveness kicked in.
I'm sure it wasn't.
Again,
No.
I think you're a bit more competitive than I am, but
Maybe it's had.
I can't see you, forging ahead and leaving me behind. I'm not having that.
No. Come on, keep up.
Yeah. Yeah. How many words have you got? How many pages have you done? How many chapters have you got? And this is how it goes.
You're still on chapter 1.
Yeah, back and forth. And then I had a little bit of a disaster with my Word document doing what it's not supposed to do. So of course, being married to Mr. Techie here did help.
Yeah.
So he sorted it out for me.
I'm not saying that I did it on purpose to slow her down, but you never can tell.
Yeah. So, and I think as we were going through that, and again we were part of a group and listening to how other people were getting on, and we were a little bit baffled as to how they were struggling. But then I suppose our brains work a little bit different, and everybody is different, and I think that as well taught us to take into account that people aren't as techie as we are.
Yeah.
And they did struggle, some people did struggle.
But I think it was that we got to day 5, we were already formatting and considering the front cover, and some people still hadn't got to the title, let alone started.
Yeah, I think on the, I mean, I don't know what the numbers were, but let's just say there were 400 people started the challenge. I bet there was about 30 that finished it.
Yeah, on the time.
Yeah.
And I think some of the others, it was, we'll start it next week. And of course, we all know that wasn't going to happen.
Never comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
like Spanish with manana, tomorrow
Yeah,
never happens,
that's
so
right.
you've got to write it today. That's the way
Yeah.
forward.
And I think there was a point where, I don't know, maybe we realised that we were going to finish, and come on, Chris, let's be honest, you wanted to finish before me, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. Plus, I wanted to make sure that by the end of the 7 days, when they said, "And how many people have done that?" and then I think we both put up that the thing from Amazon that we'd published.
Yeah,
You know, uh,
exactly.
on
Yeah,
the seventh day,
yeah,
on that accountability thing, and I think
yeah,
there was only if 30 was a number, I don't think it was that many that had
no,
already published and can prove the fact that they were live,
yeah,
So we did
yeah.
motor on. We were very
We did, we did. Well, so I mean, I think looking back at that time, I mean, it was quite some time ago now. I think looking back at that time, I think the most fun was actually creating the covers.
yeah, yeah,
You were really, really excited because you'd managed to create a cover
mm,
with a cruise ship and with Santorini in the background,
yeah,
and it was all AI,
yeah. It was
and you were really chuffed with
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. It was 100% AI. I created the sunset scene in the harbour of Santorini with the houses of Santorini, so you can literally just see that all that was 100% AI. And
Yeah,
so I was very, very pleased with how that one came out. And that was also from tools available. That was really early on in
it was.
creating AI images.
Yeah, things have
Now,
moved on.
yeah, now you
Yeah,
could create full length videos and
yeah,
everything else. And it's
exactly.
like, what's real and what's
Whereas
not.
me, mine wasn't as because I'm not as technical. I was a bit more basic in mine, and
Mm,
mine was created in Canva, and it was sort of pictures, photographs sort of plugged together. Well, you can just see there, it's sort of 3 different
mhm,
pictures that I chose. A bit sort of, now I look at it, it's a bit basic, but at the time, was
mm.
I was really pleased with it. Yeah, and Cruising Calm Waters, it's called, your essential river cruise companion. Again, perhaps not the most searchable
No,
title.
uh,
River
no,
Cruise Companion, possibly,
I think it,
but we weren't thinking of that at the time, were we?
no. And I think then a period after that, we did that where we combined it into one book
Yes.
because Cruise Like a Pro, mine was selling. It also spun a thing that people could find the dual book that had both Cruise Like a Pro and the River one in one journal. So we had basically 2 scripts that we'd written, and yet we had basically 3 books, which was
Yeah,
also
yeah.
nice from a
Just to explain that a little bit, we both published individually our books. Chris published his Cruise Like a Pro, and I published my Cruising Calm Waters. We both sold copies, and go on, who sold the first copy?
I think we'll find that that would be me. Uh,
And from then on, it's always been a little bit competitive with regards book sales.
and
But yeah,
uh,
he was rather smug, I must
yeah,
say, that he sold. And he sold more books than I did as well. I think just because people like cruising the
yeah.
ocean more than they do the river
Yeah,
cruising.
I mean, honestly, I've even written sort of the extended version of it since, but I just haven't got around to publishing that
To
yet
publishing it.
because sometimes you learn something from that first journey, and you go, you can either do a second revision or do it slightly different and
Yeah,
expand on it.
and do it. Yeah,
Like the extended version, I did a cat book as well, and then the second cat book was going that extra step, and that went really well as well. So it's really strange that you learn continuously from the process, and once you've finished it, you come back and think, oh, I can just do this and this and this,
oh,
and
there's always room for
yeah.
improvement.
But the thing is, some people might think that that's a reason to stop. It isn't. Print it, get it out there, get
Yeah,
the reviews, get things going, and then release the revised version
yeah.
later.
And then look,
Otherwise you'll never get it done.
no,
Do it now, get
it'll
perfect
never be
later.
perfect. It'll never, ever be perfect. So moving on from that then, so we published our books. We then decided to combine the books because they were both quite small. So we combined the
Mm-hmm.
books to make a bit chunky book. And now it's a book about river cruising and ocean cruising, which again does sell. Yours still outsells both on Amazon, but hey ho, who's counting?
Even 2 years on, I still
Yeah,
open my KDP and still see sales for Cruise Like a Pro, which is it's nice because when you think it's a small book, yet it still has that
yeah.
sellability. I think
Okay.
it's the front cover anyway.
Yeah, it does. This is the thing as well. The cover is important as well for
Yeah,
catching
eye
people's
catcher.
eyes.
Yeah.
So from cruising, you then went on to write other books, and I think you spent ages writing your bloody chicken book because
Yeah.
for those that don't know, Chris and I have got chickens, ducks, peacocks, and we had quite a lot of chickens at one point. So Chris decided he wanted to write a book about chicken care, and so that's what he did next. He did a chicken book.
There we go. Chicken and Chuckles.
Chicken and Chuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
And it's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek
Yeah.
book, isn't it? It's very funny. I mean, a lot of the reviews that you've had on the book is that it is quite funny. But, obviously it's got some care aspects as well. And because we do care, I'm sort of, a better vet than the vets for my chickens. I normally, find out what's wrong with them and do
I did write another book about herbal health care for chickens, which I didn't quite find the right sort of balance with it. So
Did you publish that one?
no, it's one of these in many ones that I've got still in draft. I've probably got quite a lot more books in draft.
In draft.
And sometimes you come back and sort of have a fiddle with it.
Yeah, now's the time.
Yeah, and also the difference with the chicken book is I used another application and regretted it painfully afterwards because reformatting the book, it took many weeks of trying to get it right, and it's not a thin book. It's quite a thick book.
Yeah,
but it was another
learning curve.
Yeah, and I think in future podcasts, Wendy will tell you about some of the other tools that we started to use that we still use today after 2 years on, and we're still using the same tools because they do the job and they do it well.
Indeed.
And the one that created this book is not one of those.
So you did the chickens book, and then what was after the chickens?
Well, I did this one about cats. This was
that one's called
Clause and Order. Yeah, which I thought was funny. And it was about having a multi-cat home because along with all the chickens and ducks and peacocks, we had a number of cats that we brought back with us to the UK and dogs as well. And this book actually probably is my biggest seller, maybe.
That's also a bit funny as well.
Yeah. Again, tongue-in-cheek. And then I wrote the Clause and Order Goes Extreme. Yeah. Which is, nice one with the cat with sunglasses on, of course.
Cool.
And, of course, that was clearly AI as well, the picture.
Yes.
But things were just getting better and better. But I changed the way I wrote it a lot, and a lot more thought went into it, and watching our cats and things like that, which was also quite a good thing about it. And it was about, I started to start thinking lots of ideas in my head. And, and then I went off on a tangent, if you like, with a book about procrastination. And as it was such a big difference, this is where I started to learn about using different pen names to identify different genres. And that way allowed me to play and try and test and try out different genres. And look, this is Breaking Free. And this is one of my books under Hayden Crosswell. And Hayden's actually written, me as Hayden, has written about 5 books on different categories of mindset and stuff like this. But this was the first book that we tried something else different, where we had the book narrated. So this was the first time we'd gone into an audio book, which is quite an experience, trying to work out the people to do the narration.
Yeah.
And that's the expense and the whole minefield of choosing and the process of that, which is quite something, and which we did, and it's out on Audible. And because we also learned that to sort of multiply our incomes, and again, this sells really well. This is Breaking Free in Spanish, and we also had this narrated as well. So it was the same script, but translated into the Spanish. So it's, again, using the same material for multiple
But something different.
targets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of a number of books that Hayden wrote, but there was a lot of different challenges. But I felt that using pen names was a really great way to
Yeah.
be able to shift pattern, because people don't, for nonfiction books, they do not buy the author. They
No.
buy you solving a problem. Whereas writing a novel, they buy the author.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's the
Yeah.
big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand that because if I'm listening to, because I only listen to audiobooks, but I tend to use the same author and then wait for his next one to come out and listen to that and wait for the next one. Whereas with a non-fiction one, you don't tend to do that.
And the funny thing is
And I
you
think a lot,
actually listen for the narrator as well, don't you? Because you actually,
yeah,
it has to be, sometimes you actually don't like a book by a particular author, not because
I
of the book, but
no,
because of the author.
yeah, it's true. I mean, I read, I listened to really good books and I loved the stories. And then the author changed the narrator and I listened to his third book. I couldn't even get past the second chapter. I'm like, I can't do it. And I felt like writing to the author, saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why have you changed? Because I can't listen to this guy.
Yeah.
It was just awful. And it's a shame because the story was really good. But anyway,
But the thing,
moving away from,
yeah, but for narrating books, when you publish an audiobook, you're giving them that sound bite on Audible,
yeah,
so people can hear that voice. And at that
yeah,
point, they've not bought. So if they don't
no.
buy in at that point, you've lost that sale.
That's right. That's right. It does make a big difference.
Mm.
So, moving on from the procrastination, where did you go then?
I tried a few different other books as well, different types of genre. I tried some play with words as well, with 99 topics in for 99p, because people search for it on Amazon, and I thought that would.
Uh-huh.
So I tried different things out. Um, I also then wrote a few testers in writing novels. So I did a cat detective, an actual detective novel as well, and then a gothic horror one. And that's actually that was really funny, because the gothic horror, I realized that so much more goes into writing the plot, developing the characters,
Mm,
studying the time frame and the scene,
yeah.
and making sure that the words and everything were in line with that. So the first thing I did was write like a 20, 30-page document on research before
Mm,
I did the book. And
yeah.
and then I had fun, of course, with the AI doing the design of the book as well. So it's a ghosty
A little
scene,
bit of
which is
fun.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we, the late bloomer author,
Mm.
we don't touch on fiction books at all. It's all non-fiction. It's all self-help or, your own story and how you can
Mhm.
help others. But yeah, you definitely had a go at the fiction, had a bit of fun with that. But
Yeah.
then you moved on to something a little bit more sort of academic
Yeah.
that was more in line with your
Yeah.
vocation, if you like, your line of work.
Yeah, but with IT, one of the big things that, of course, coming up now is AI. One of the things that always worries me is about cybersecurity. Lots of other topics too, and I thought I'd have a crack at putting down some of my ideas about AI powered cybersecurity, what that meant, and not just from a technical point of view. I wrote it in sort of two parts. Each chapter is broken down into both the technical aspect, along with technical diagrams, and also the business view, so they understood the difference between the two. So this became AI powered cybersecurity. Yes, funky design cover, and this was really big.
That's a beastie.
This is beastly. This is 550 odd pages
Yeah.
of content. When I started it, didn't plan for it to be this big. And
No.
as I kept on thinking about it and adding more to it, and the thing just grew and grew and grew.
And as things changed in our AI as well as things,
Yes.
because things have things change weekly, you know,
Daily in some cases.
and
Daily.
because you're a lot of the work you're doing on a day-to-day basis with companies, a lot of the questions that come up is about AI security. So, it's got a lot of your
Yeah.
expertise in there, and
Yeah, and I've gone off and started doing things like a Tech ROI Weekly newsletter and things like this that talks about AI and cybersecurity and technology and enterprise architecture and all of that all mixed together. And that's just another channel. The funny
Where's the newsletter?
that's on LinkedIn,
Okay.
and there's many subscribers to that. One of the things that I believe I am doing that because I wrote the books.
Mm,
And I found that my writing in my workday life has changed as well.
okay.
Because people know that when they read what I write from a technical point of view or a business point of view, they see that they now recognize that I'm an author as well, a published author, and they they get they get to understand that I write quite a lot of documentation now.
Mm.
And I wouldn't have done that probably 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
So it's
without
changed my,
writing a book.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that changed my whole business side as well.
Yeah.
You know,
It's funny, isn't it? That one 7-day challenge,
yeah.
how it's changed things for both of us. I mean, you
Mm,
with you're writing your newsletters and your documents and your
mhm,
articles for work mostly.
mhm,
And me, how it's come to realize that, the way I was feeling when I started writing about who's going to want to listen to me, who might write a book for goodness
yeah.
sake. And that's why, I'm looking at doing the training and this help and support in the school
Mm,
community for other people just like me.
yeah.
And you find it's people of our age that that don't have the confidence to make a start. And
No.
that's where I want to try and help.
And it's also important the fact that if you write something like this,
Mm.
that this also gives something else as well. This becomes, from a business point of view, some social credibility
Yeah,
because some people write books from a business point of view because it's like becomes a lead magnet into
sure.
their business. Yeah. And it's a way of getting social credibility out there. So writing can have many different pluses that it drives afterwards. So
Yeah, yeah,
social credibility is a big one and should
yeah.
not be, misthought of because it has a
That's right.
powerful message.
And also, there's a lot of people out there that need that message,
Mm.
that need to hear what you've got to say. So I mean, my advice to anybody sitting on the fence, if you like, thinking about writing a book is do it.
Do
And
it.
I'm sure you feel the same.
Yes.
And, also if you can, don't do it alone. I mean, we're really fortunate because we did it together and we do quite a lot of our business stuff together.
Yeah.
Um,
We become accountable to each other,
that's
which is
right.
what I was
Yeah.
saying. It's really important that you have that accountability partner,
Yeah.
even if it's someone you can check in once a week or whatever, or someone being there when you've got like that mind block
Yeah.
and you
Or if you're
feel
having a
that
shitty day.
yeah, yeah.
Or
And
if you want to celebrate.
yes, like you've got a chapter done and you want to move on,
Yeah.
move on to the next one. And I guess if
Mm.
you've got nobody, I guess one of the best things is to join your school community
Yes.
and you've got then a credibility, you've got
Yeah.
that accountability there
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to sort of work together.
That's right. Because I'm in there and there's other people as well that would, cheer you on and you with your peers then, people who are in the
Mm. Yeah,
same boat as you.
like-minded. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Yeah.
You're all trying to write something, and sometimes it's really just that accountability and just doing it. Make the first step, write the first chapter, or just get on and just write. You know,
Okay. So before I sign off then, just a quick question. If you had to do the 7-day challenge again, what would you write about?
I would definitely do the 7-day challenge again because it was fun. But now that I understand the process, and we've also got a lot of toys and tools with AI
Yeah, we've learnt
and
loads.
and literally writing experience. We kind of know what to look for. We know
Mm.
what topics to search for, how to understand finding niches, which is I'm sure a subject you're going to come across. You're going to explain to everybody at another time. But the niches is really important, and
So
sub-niching
come on
things.
then, what would you write about?
I don't know, maybe uh, it might be chickens, it might be ducks, it might be alpacas. Yeah, who knows? I think we've always found that finding the topics is the easy bit.
Mm,
My problem is that I just like to try different areas, and which is why I use the pen
yeah,
names. So I'm a bit of
yeah.
uh, a pain in the ass over that, because I think a couple of times you asked me, "What are you doing?" And then
What are you
nothing.
working on now, for goodness sake? Yeah. But I actually refer to Chris as being married to one of those crazy professors, but
Mm,
instead of a barn or a workroom full of bloody inventions,
mm,
he's got computers, software, the cloud full of half written books, documents, platforms, softwares,
mm,
all sorts of things going on. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing now? It's difficult to
mm.
keep up. But that's because his brain, I think, moves faster than his fingers on the keyboard, which do move pretty fast.
And sometimes I've got so many different ideas, and I try different things out, and I go, it's either not sounding right, but instead of getting hung up on it, I go on to something else.
Yeah,
And
put it
then,
in a box, come back to it later.
yeah, that doesn't mean I won't. It just
Yeah,
means not now.
not
And
now.
the problem is, some people, when you're writing, get hung up and think, well, and they drive that block even more themselves,
Mm,
where instead of having a block on a topic, I go onto a different topic, sometimes a whole different type of category,
yeah,
and I write about that, and it allows me to find balance again,
that's right. Yeah.
you know?
So the message there is to don't wait till you feel you're perfect or until you feel you're
No.
ready. Just start. Just
Yeah.
just have a go.
Yeah. It's
So
like the cat book and like everything else. There was a
just make a
second
go.
version came out. It happens.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, thank you, Chris, for your insights and your thoughts today. And hopefully that's inspired some of you to get started, to actually write your book, join the school community. I'm in there every day. You can
She
ask
is,
me
believe me.
questions. You can ask me questions, put your ideas down. There's other people in the group as well that will give you feedback. And, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure that you don't miss any episodes. So this is episode 2 with Chris as co-host. And I'm Wendy. And thank you very much for being here. And we'll be back again next Sunday. And just remember, you're not too late. You're right on time. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.